What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, keeping you updated on all the latest wrestling news. We got more of the recent WWE rumors and reports, including Backstage Shake-Up going down right now, wrestlers slamming WWE for recent embarrassing act, WWE upset with a recent AEW appearance, which lead to some confirmation for WWE 2K22. We got that and more, so let's go ahead and talk about it. Make sure that you guys have those notifications turned on to, as always, be updated, and for even more wrestling content, consider checking out the second channel. And it has been an interesting week as WWE continued to do some cleanup with more and more releases, a couple of which ended up being caused due to controversy. And to catch you guys up to speed and with the latest updates, we had Mickie James issuing a response to Stephanie McMahon apology about what happened early on in the week, in which Mickie James posted a picture of a trash bag with her belonging that was sent to her by WWE after her release. This led to multiple other wrestlers speaking out about the situation and how this has been something that's been happening for years, which obviously is disrespectful. It already sucks getting released by the company, so sending your belongings on a trash bag is just an extra humiliation. In the end, based on the multiple reports, the blame is being placed on Mark Carrano, and he was released by WWE right after. Stephanie McMahon sent out a personal apology to Mickie James stating the following: "I am embarrassed you or anyone else will be treated this way. I apologize personally and on behalf of WWE. The person responsible is no longer with our company." Mickie James then replied the following: "Thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate that, as I am equally embarrassed. I know this wasn't a malicious act. However, it did feel very symbolic to how I was presented in the last 3 years." End quote. So clearly Mickie James is frustrated about the whole situation. And who's to blame her? Because when you look at it, WWE creative for Mickie James ever since she came back has been extremely questionable and even offensive, because that is not how you treat a veteran like her. We are talking about someone who literally took multiple insults from the company, as over a decade ago they ended up running storylines that pretty much made fun of her weight, and at one point she was even called Piggy James. So you would think that WWE bringing her back 3 years ago was to change all of that. And yeah, she got injured a couple of times, but WWE had a lot of chances to at least give her another title run or another big storyline to make things interesting. Mickie James was obviously not the only one slamming WWE for this whole situation. As I said, we had other talents that have been released from WWE, revealing that this has been happening for years and it's not a new thing. And honestly, it's a good thing that Mickie James stepped up on this whole situation, because as she indicated, she wanted to leave the place better than it was, and this is a disrespectful act that would have kept going if she wouldn't have said anything. Obviously she didn't want anybody to get fired, but this is the result of everything that happened. It's worth mentioning that besides Mark Carrano, Vince McMahon is doing a big shake-up backstage right now, quote unquote, wanting new blood in the ranks of WWE management, as he wants to freshen things up for the whole product. So there's a lot of officials right now being let go and also moved from one position to the next. So will we see a change? Who knows? I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. The last big backstage shakeup that we ended up getting was with Paul Heyman getting reintroduced on the creative team, and also Eric Bischoff, but we all know how that went down. On some other news, we had Snoop Dogg revealing that WWE wasn't too happy about his appearance on AEW Dynamite. Snoop Dogg ended up making headlines appearing on the show, and although he did a questionable splash, it was a big appearance for AEW. On Hot 97, he ended up explaining that WWE felt some type of way for about 2 weeks because they then called him up so that he could appear on WWE 2K22 in some way, shape, or form. We ended up talking about all of this and what it could actually mean on the previous video, so check it out if you guys haven't yet, as that is heavily related to WWE 2K22 news. Maybe he's gonna do something with Sasha Banks for the game, who knows? The point of this though is that it is always interesting to see WWE get upset of these talents appearing somewhere else, even though they're not fully contracted. It's not like Snoop Dogg is contracted to WWE, but because of the affiliation, I guess WWE feels the need to get upset about it. Sounds like typical Vince McMahon. And talking about Vince, this man is a lunatic. We ended up getting a preview for the A&E Roddy Piper episode of Biography, which is going to be airing this Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. In this 1-minute sneak peek from the special, we get to see Vince McMahon joking about getting a phone call from Roddy Piper from hell. Vince asks Roddy Piper how he is doing and if it was warm down there, of course implying that Piper is in hell. Vince McMahon also joked about Piper holding an eternal resting place for him right next to him, but Vince McMahon go on to say that he is not done anytime soon. It's worth mentioning though that Vince McMahon did end the segment by laughing and saying that Roddy Piper is in heaven and he is not in hell, so it was all a sarcastic joke, but leave it up to Vince McMahon to say something like this. And based on social media, it wasn't really a good joke, as Vince is getting a lot of backlash from it. Onto some other news coming out of this week's SmackDown. There's a huge question on what is WWE plan for Daniel Bryan, because he is putting his career on the line next week, or at least his SmackDown career. At the end of SmackDown, as we saw, Cesaro and Daniel Bryan got their wish, and Roman Reigns walk out to the ring to address Cesaro's challenge, which Daniel Bryan wants to see it happen. He wants Cesaro to get that championship opportunity, but instead Roman Reigns declined to accept Cesaro's challenge because he feels that Cesaro is not on his level, but he did issue a challenge to Daniel Bryan because he just doesn't like Daniel Bryan. This match is going to be taking place next week on Friday Night SmackDown, and Roman Reigns said that he wants Daniel Bryan to disappear and never show up on SmackDown if he ends up beating him. And there's a couple of speculation on what exactly is the plan right now. A lot of it has to do with Daniel Bryan recently revealing that he doesn't plan to be a full-time wrestler much longer. He instead wants to do a part-time type of schedule, much like a lot of the top talents in the WWE right now. All of this is because he wants to focus on his family more. So the big potential plans for all of this are right now, according to multiple reports, and as a wrestling news that CEO is indicating, is that this could be Daniel Bryan's send-off as an active wrestler, and that of course whenever he decides to come back with that renewed contract with WWE, then he will end up on Monday Night Raw. There was a heavy emphasis on the fact that if Roman beats Daniel Bryan, then Daniel Bryan is done with the SmackDown brand. They made sure to make that clear, so it really feels like he is simply gonna be moving to Monday Night Raw after probably taking some time off. Or maybe all of this is a swerve, and next week, for all we know, Edge could return, screwed over the match, not giving us a conclusive finish, and involving himself into the Roman Reigns storyline once again. Right now, everybody's going for that Universal Championship, so it's great. Another massive highlight from this week's SmackDown was the return of Aleister Black. They are already airing some mysterious backstage segments with him, so I'm excited to see what is next. This week on the Blue Brand, we also had Cesaro and Daniel Bryan teaming up to defeat Jey Uso and Seth Rollins to open up the show. We had Tamina defeating Nia Jax, Apollo Crews defeating Kevin Owens in an Intercontinental Championship match, and Big E attacked Apollo Crews afterwards, so you know that a feud is going to be continuing. We had Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio defeating Otis and Chad Gable, and by the way, I am loving the Mysterios tag team because every single week they're getting better and better, just as expected. For this upcoming Monday Night Raw, we got some confirmations, one of which nobody asked for, but nonetheless is happening. WWE announced that Drew McIntyre and Braun Strowman are going to be teaming up once again to take on Mace and T-Bar of Retribution. And they also announced that the almighty Bobby Lashley is returning and addressing his WrestleMania Backlash match against Drew McIntyre. Anyways guys, that is all the latest that I got for you. If you enjoyed, find it informative, don't forget to elbow drop it and hit those notifications to continue being up to date with all the wrestling news and WWE 2K22 updates. I'll catch you guys on the next one, so stay savage.